If you don't talk with tone, I'll literally like be dancing in my head.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, like, I'm here looking at you.
Yeah.
My mind is thinking about other
for
shit.
sure.
Me in every single Zoom call for work.
Most of the time, that's me anyway.
It's like, what am I going to have for lunch today? Oh, yeah, yep.
The amount of times I've caught myself, like I had to have this strategy when I was podcasting, like big guests where I was like, I don't want to fuck this up. I have to twiddle something, so I'm constantly like present with touching something. Otherwise, I'll just be like, oh, but this question in my head, I'm like, oh, he said this, so I want to write back to here and start talking about this. And like, I brought this up, now I want to do this. I'm just like, oh fuck, he's still talking.
Yeah, I haven't actually listened to anything he said.
Yeah, like I'm hearing it, but also I'm like, I can actually engage with it.
I do that too, and I finish the podcast and I have no idea what they said because I'm just like trying to. You know how you like the old thing of like. Actually listen, don't wait for your time to speak.
Yeah. Listen to them respond. Yeah.
Podcast host is the only time that you're not.
Yeah.
You're just like, right, so this is going to go here now. Yeah. We're doing this. We're going to go
I had
there.
these kind of questions, but also a ramble went this way.
Yeah, it's 42 minutes in, and I need to get this part
I haven't even got their name yet.
Yeah.
And Jason's just sitting here like, oh, yeah.
I
listen to stuff.
How can we talk about training now?
Yeah.
I'm laughing at like the dynamic here and the dynamic here.
Yeah, we're just like...
I made this like no, but I've gone to the chino shorts and the t-shirt to like be a little bit more upscale, and you're obviously like way down here, and Jace is like I'm just a bro, and Ben's gone I'm a formal bro.
Formal meathead.
We literally had this conversation as we were leaving. I was like, I'm way too overdressed, and then he's like,
I knew Ben was going to come with the polo and his shirt tucked into his shorts. I knew that was happening.
This is how I coach. This is what's happening.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take it up a fucking.
Don't come to my house and think you can outbro me.
Outbro me?
Come on, man.
I've been in this game too long.
That's it.
You're coming to the suburbs shitting on it that's better than where we came from. So it's like...
I was legit thinking this is like the full like Layla to Alex situation. The dude presents everything in like flannels or a fucking singlet.
I'm dressing for comfort.
I've been giving her shit all morning. I'm like, your first podcast, she rocks out wearing this. I'm like, I'm going to have so much fun with this.
He's had a lot of fun with it.
I'm just dressing like this because it's hot as fuck.
That's fair.
I was struggling the heat.
We good?
Yeah. We good?
It's a bit excellent out there, but there's not much we can do about it.
But what's it called?
Barbells and Banter.
That's better.
Have we done one? We went with a little bit of a rebrand. Yeah, we're actually in the midst of a rebrand across the businesses.
Yeah, try saying STCfit learning for 8 years and then changing it to learn.
Yeah, STC
and removing
learn.
fit, so it's just STC
so
learn.
STC
My brain's like
fit and STC learn.
STC good.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
That hurt my feelings there. we gotta bring that feedback to the table next meeting.
Someone came on the podcast and made fun of us. Change everything.
STC fit.
Rip everything and start again. Pull out the fucking walls and start from scratch.
STC big. STC strong.
Hey, they sound like cool programs.
Yeah,
insert coach name and
fuck Ben. He doesn't know.
Yeah. Hey, stop making fun of our business. All right?
Fly all the way up here and fucking just hang shit on us.
We're already getting into the banter component.
That's
it.
This
is all part of
setting the standards.
This is sales tactics. This is build banter straight off the bat. Get rapport in.
I have to tell everyone who they are.
Yeah,
what are you selling us?
I'm getting
when he shuts up.
So never.
Stop trying to tell me how to podcast. I fucking got this, bro. All right, so
this is my first day.
Jason,
Ben and
almost.
Yeah, no, I've done what, 2?
2 as host.
Yeah.
And I can't shut the fuck up, so it's actually very challenging for him.
Yeah, look, Ben, just let me take care of it, you fucking control freak.
That's bodybuilding. It's bodybuilding today. I'm going to sleep anyway.
All right, so we'll tell you who the people are on the other side of this conversation. So we got Ben and Brooklyn.
Hello.
So tell us your business and branding, so we can bag you about it.
Don't, I'll cry.
So about that time to leave. Marketing matters. So as of Athletica will be the coaching sector and what we do with like putting on other coaches to work for us and stuff like that once the level gets to that. Then we'll have the Institute, which will be where I start doing a lot more like performance like courses and coaching, and like I just don't like the mindset sector and the way people try to what's the word, I guess? Because like the intent is good, right?
Do a one-day course and then
they
think that they
literally
teach people about mindset. Yeah, cool.
And then it's kind of like, let's just you're playing in a realm that can be very dangerous.
Yeah.
Because it's like Homer with homework when he's trying to teach Lisa. Just read the day before, or like read the big word the day before you teach it, and all of a sudden I know what like mindfulness is, or like cognitive flexibility or psychological flexibility. So we're gonna eventually get into that realm of teaching that stuff properly.
Yeah, cool. So that's in the institute. So
yes, that'll be in the institute.
So Athletica, institute,
and then there'll be matter marketing.
Marketing, cool.
So those are the three. For now, will be the 3 points that we look at. So, institute will also constitute when we do like podcast seminars and stuff. So when SCAF comes up and we combine,
so it'll be like mainly education.
Yeah, pretty much
education wing, kind of
marketing,
coaching wing. Yeah. Then you got your marketing and stuff at the moment. Yeah.
So,
all right. So training, like, let's talk about some cool shit. Not that that wasn't cool, but like,
drugs. Let's go.
Cool story, but
cycle stack design. So off season at the moment.
Yes. Yeah. So
should we talk comp first?
Yeah, because we kind of left you guys. Well, didn't leave you guys hanging. I was too dead to participate.
Oh, wait. Okay, your comp. Yeah. Okay. I was like, sorry.
Yeah, so...
Jason's moved past that.
Yeah, Jason...
You used to be shredded.
I want to talk about my time being shredded.
No, Ben's been talking about his comp the whole time. I'm like, wait, we're talking about yours?
I don't give a fuck about my comp.
I was like, what?
No, start talking about bodybuilding so I can go to sleep.
I was so confused just then. Like,
so how was Pro Raw?
That's why I thought he was like, trying to hijack this fucking...
This is my podcast, motherfucker. Nah.
Yeah, so when did you compete again? What month was that?
It was... Season B last year, which ran into October, literally end of October.
Yeah.
So that was because I stopped. Must have been maybe like August, September. Shit just got too busy. Where I was turning up to the group chats and stuff and group calls with you guys. It just got to a point where I was just running on modafinil in business.
Hey. Save your excuses.
Yes, not mad, just disappointed.
Let's talk about bodybuilding.
Yeah. That's fair.
Did you win?
I did, yes.
That was worth it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, if you didn't win,
don't worry about
that. Don't talk to us. Get off this couch.
Second would have been a problem.
Yeah, that's it. You wouldn't be here.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. So tell us how. So that prep was what? Second prep?
Yeah. So, I mean, on paper, I've done 4 preps. 2 managed to get to stage.
Okay.
Because we'd hit 2 during COVID.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And each time was about
demonetized. Said the word.
Oh, sorry. The big C. Cancer? No, another one.
Spotify's got the little blue label now. Please go to this website for expert advice.
Yeah. Is this false information?
At least someone's listening to your podcast.
All right, so that's the most savage thing I reckon.
Barely chimes in. Comes in with a first body. Don't invite again.
Overhand right off the ropes.
Today is done.
That is the start of the podcast. That is the start.
We are finished at 10:40, and we're not going to go train today.
Can everyone?
Thank you for the intro.
Yes.
Thank you for the intro.
Can everyone
feel free to leave?
Please take a screenshot of the episode, post it on your stories to make us feel fucking better.
Yep.
Don't tag me in it.
Matter marketing.
I don't want the hate.
Stabs.
And we'll put Brooklyn's handle in the comments. If you just want to go attack her Instagram page.
Yeah, just send the listeners.
Out, guys.
STC Army.
Yep, just go hard. So that was season B last year, and it was kind of like to kind of combine into business. It was one of those like not do or die, but it was one of those I need to show what I do.
Yeah.
And because I've talked hard about it, right? Like I've talked about it, I've put on my content, I've built my content around like these are the things that at least put you in the ballpark of success, that at least put you in the ballpark of intensity and getting a result, and you can't bitch and moan about the work you don't do for the results you don't get, all that sort of shit. So like having that premise and basing the business on it, you can only live in the last show that you did for how long? I was like, I was lean once. I was like, yeah, cool, but I was like, it needs to happen this year, and I just kind of need to bite the bullet with it. But at the same time, it kind of opened up the realm to show the process a lot more. Given that I was like, I'd left Nutrition Warehouse and I was now dedicated just to matter and making that happen. I was like, all right, so along the way, I need to get as much content as possible, engage as much as possible, show as much behind the scenes as possible so that people can see what goes into it. It's not all the fluff. It's not all the sexy shit that you see on stage when everyone only shares the highlight reel. It's like, when I actually sit down with a consult or a client for a prep, and like I've got eight athletes going into season B, got 1 going into season A, I've got 3 for season A the following year now. I started with me and Tom for our prep last year, and I helped one client with their season A finalization because their coach was a bit too far away and just didn't really know it. And so for me, it was like, I need to prove what I know and sort of have that intricacy of, well, I do it, but also like I live it.
Yeah.
And so for us, it was like, well, that's that next step of not recognition or like, base everything on whether or not I win. It was just simply like, I need to back up what I say.
Yeah, you need to build your authority.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. At a certain point, like it has to be about who I am and kind of what I do and the standard that I set. Because if I'm expecting these huge things from clients and I can't deliver it myself, and not even in the result per se, like the placing, if I can't just deliver that result for myself,
you can't just get there.
Yeah. How can I tell my clients, oh, this is what you got to do to win? But I've never been that committed, or I've never been able to show it. So
it's what you need to do to be your best.
Exactly right.
It's like whether you win or not. It's like there's
exactly
steps.
right.
We were having this conversation the other day.
All the time.
Yeah, like
literally daily.
Because it's the same in powerlifting. It's like there's a level of success that you can get to based on your raw
talent,
organic matter. Like this, you can achieve X, Y, Z based on this. And where that sits is different. But like you said, being able to experience those things, and like obviously when we're talking to people listening are just lifters, not coaches. So it's like for them, when you're talking to someone that you want to be your coach, it's like, have they been in the position? So I had someone say like, they were worried about taking on their first powerlifting prep. I'm like, you've done it.
Yeah.
The thing, he asked like, what do I need to know to do it? I'm like, knowing's easy. Programming and all that shit's easy. It's like, from my lens, it's like, yes, your elbows hurting is normal. Yes, waking up 3 a.m. after deadlifts because you pushed a 1 RM is normal. Yes, celebrating a win and hating your life because you missed a lift is normal. And for you guys, like, fucking whole different next level of intrusion into your life.
Yeah.
Knowing what that's like, and then being able to have a coach that's like understanding of what's going on. Like I get to like photo shoot.
Yeah.
That's the leanest I've ever been. And after that, I'm asking someone else, usually Jace, if I'm going to take them to the stage, or if they've indicated that's what they want to do. It's like, work with him.
Yeah.
He's been dick skin lean. I haven't. I have no intention to. Looks horrible.
Yeah.
As in the mental.
Yeah, it looks like it feels horrible.
The look of the feeling.
Yeah.
Looks great. Yeah. Be fucked.
Yeah. The outcome's fantastic.
So I think that's an important
Yeah.
message to think about if you're like want to go to these whatever pathway it is. If you want to run a marathon, talk to someone that's ran one. If you want to get on stage,
just
talk to someone that's done one.
Specificity, right? Like,
yeah.
And I think having that ability as a coach to know where your lens is, where your scope is, where you're limited by, what you've done, what you know, and being able to, also, even if you know it, being able to back it up, display it, show it. There's a degree where, like, don't get me wrong, you don't have to be a pro bodybuilder to know bodybuilding. 100%. But like, if you're not gonna go and get the knowledge through study, extracurriculars, constant upskilling, showing that knowledge with client results, then you're probably gonna want to show it through experience that you've done it. So for me, it was a bit of both. Like, I'm sitting on the sideline with a lot of knowledge, and I was like, I need to get back into the game and actually like seeing the stand of what was in the game. Like, I need to be back in here because it's just, this stuff to me isn't complex, but it's made complex by people to try and polarize it, sexualize it, make it look like
monetize it too.
Exactly. And so for me, I was like, I genuinely built the premise that I want to show people how it's done, or at least show that I can do it and know how it's done and the result is there, and put it in a way where I want them to do their best. Like, it's not just to give me money. I purely I love this shit for the fact that it is everything I represent. There's something about the philosophy of bodybuilding to me that's like, it embodies everything that I stand for or believe in, that nothing that I want can't be obtained if I put the work in. I might not be able to look like Ronnie. That's great. Ronnie looks like Ronnie. But I know that I can be the best of me if I give the best efforts that I have. And that to me was the big thing for the show. And it kind of gets a little psychotic when I tell people, I'm like, every time I prep, I love to get to the point where I'm seeing what the next level of fucked up feels like. Like every time I get lean, I'm like, what's that next level of disgusting for me? Because like every single time I've done a heavy cut, I've always found what that next level looks like, or what's that next stage of lean? What's that next level of calorie cut feel like? How does that feel when it comes time to depleting? And like, what do the back end weeks feel like?
Have you got to like the bottom of my feet hurt standing on them?
Oh yeah. That
seems like the wildest thing to me.
That,
we had Dean on years ago, and he said that, and I was just like,
That was one of the first times I heard it.
Your skin becomes like real sensitive.
Fat-free, baby.
Yeah, between Dean and Dalton, when they said that, I was like, oh, yeah, okay. And then I was like, actually felt it, and I was like, I've got to take my cardio to the bike.
I was going to say, and you got to do fucking 15,000 steps or whatever.
Yeah.
So we started doing things like weighted vest walks and stuff like that into Brisbane City. So it was like half-hour trots every day, and then there'd be like the extra bike on top, all that sort of stuff.
Get those big hockers, massive soles on.
Just add. I think at one point I had like double layers of socks.
Yeah.
Just was like, I'm just gonna add some shit here just to make it somewhat comfortable.
That's wild.
And it just gets to a point where I was honestly like, not. It sounds like it's like a roid rage thing, but like, just out of exhaustion, I was just moaning through Brisbane City from our place, playing Pokemon on my Game Boy on my phone, and I would just I just cruise through and just not look at anyone. But then like I'd make sure I'm like to the side and out of the way, not being a dick, but I just keep a straight line, and just people just walk into me, and I'm just like, fuck off. Like, do I really look like someone right now that you want to like just walk into? Like I'm the kind of I would see me if I was not me and be like, that's a person I don't want to bump into. Like I'm just gonna go out of my way to avoid that depression. But it's like it's not depression. Like I love it, but
catch it.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like
contagious.
It looks contagious.
Get out of the way.
Who hurt you?
Who beat you?
The question for every bodybuilder ever.
Who said you had small calves?
The hard answer is themselves.
Yes.
Which I'll never admit. It's I've buried myself in this sadness.
I've come to terms with my demons many years ago. We sat down and had dinner and we're like, look, this is what's going to go on.
This is how life is going to be.
This is how it's going to be.
No, there was definitely some silent weeks there where you barely said a word. It was like, we like go on walks at night time and it was just like bet on Pokemon. I'm like,
I'll just go fuck myself.
I was like walking along.
It just gets to a point where I'm like, I just tell even like clients and stuff, I'm like, just don't take it personally. But like, I'm showing you through action right now, not words. And that to me is like, I'll communicate. Like, I will jack up modafinil, so I do your check-ins and I'm buzzing. I'm like happy to go. But outside of that, just like, if I don't reply in the next 6 hours, just chill. It's
that last month is like not spoken about at all. Like I think a lot of people like the attractiveness of a contest prep and bodybuilding is the outcome.
Yes.
And it's like a little bit of the journey when it's fun.
But
that little bit where you're in the hole and it's like, fuck man, you look up and it's so dark. It's like, and it's like that doesn't get spoken about. You're tired, you're upset, you're hungry. And you just want
you're stuck with like your own
opposite.
internal thoughts.
Yeah, that's it. And then all you want is like, someone to tell you exactly what you want to hear. And sometimes you don't get it. And it's like, and
then layer on the top of that you're literally, your sport is to be judged.
Judge on how you look.
Physically,
Like you start with 100 and go backwards.
Yeah.
Wild.
It's like that just doesn't get shown enough. And it's like, when it gets to the point where that gets real hard, it's like, oh, we're just getting started. You've got 4 weeks, 6 weeks of this.
That to me is like, you've literally described why I actually don't agree with so many people prepping. Like I'm actually against, as much as my love for bodybuilding is
one of my topics I wanted to talk about.
It is literally why I don't see preps being good for people. I see the way you guys have pushed photo shoots, and I'm like, fuck yeah, do that. Like, if you guys have, like, one of my girls, she was like, she's like, yeah, I really want to do, and she's like very polarized by it. She's like, before my 30th birthday, I want to do a prep. I'm like, okay, have you trained before? And she's like, yeah, I've trained before, blah, blah. We started doing some face-to-face because I moved into a bit of a hybrid model with 0W up here.
Yeah, nice.
So Big Tommy was like, yeah, right, like, we're keen as, like, we just do it this way. You're more than welcome to join up. I do it like twice a month. And so she's coming for a session. She's like, yeah, I've trained before. And I'm like, okay, so like, let's do some movement patterns. I'm like, your upper body movements are quite off. Like, you're like, where did you train? Oh, I've done PLC or I've done this. I'm like, oh, okay, this makes a lot more sense. We're definitely on different terms of train.
Yeah, correct.
And then I do back squats in Les Mills classes all the time.
I do like a 3 rep quarter pulse. And from there, she was like, actually, I sat down with her. I'm like, okay, I want you to fill out our goal setting sheet, go through the videos, go through the module that I've created, and sort of like understand what values mean, understand what goals mean, understand what a superordinate goal is, understand what your domains are, understand what these subordinate goals are, where you need to set up your processes, your lifestyle, all that sort of stuff. And she's like, I actually don't think I want to prep.
That's good.
And I was like, good. That's fantastic.
You definitely never wanted to in the first place.
And she literally said in one of her check-ins when we got back to it, she was like, I actually, I'm a very like quick-paced, all-in, all-nothing kind of girl, and I'll get really sucked in and get excited. I was like, yeah, but prep isn't something you can get excited about and sucked into. because it's not like
It's not glamorous.
no, it's not one of those things
It's
where
hard
it's like
it's fucking hard.
it's fucking hard.
It's so fucking hard.
And like, so one of the parameters I'm setting up that I'm finding with clients that are doing really well and are succeeding is that, and it's pretty much the biggest premise I have for competing in general, the sport or the prep, bodybuilding, powerlifting, whatever it is, needs to complement your life that you're already living, not change your life to fit it. So if you're at a stage where, you know, our changes are like, let's get your sleep in place. Let's get you to the gym consistently. Let's do 4 days a week of training.
Yeah.
Make sure protein spacing is adequate and you're getting protein. If we're making those level of changes, you're not going near a stage or even talking to a prep yet.
Nah.
If you've not lived this for a while, then I don't want to hear the words, I want to do a prep from you yet.
No.
I want you to, like, I got one of my, like, and really good about that is that it sets the premise of realistic expectation.
Yep.
You get into a client's head like, I'm happy to be the guy for you. Like, I will fucking ride and die with you. If you sign up to me and tell me you're all in, great. But that means like 1-2+ years of us working together before we're like, hey, you got your toes wet. You know, now you're diving in. Now you're feeling good, like a consistent. Let's give it a crack and see where we end up.
Yep.
But you start with that drip feeding of like, let's just get you exposed to an aggressive cut first. Let's see how you handle a low or a higher deficit percentage. And see if you can actually tolerate it. And then see how you reverse out of that. And then see if you can handle a surplus. See if you can handle being softer. See if you can handle being leaner and then handle putting on some body fat.
Yeah.
Because if
maybe
you can't
build some fucking muscle.
Exactly.
To actually be able to show off.
Exactly. Maybe get on stage with some pre-made mass.
Yeah.
As opposed to looking, you know, almost anorexic because you just stripped fat.
Yeah. That's the thing that people miss too. It's a bodybuilding show.
Yeah.
The building part doesn't seem to like kind of be
It's
thought
a
about.
It's
like,
a shredding
I
thing,
see the outcomes, like, cool, I've seen that, but it's like that's years of
Or there's that expectation
training.
that it's already underneath.
Yeah, which is just
Like,
absurd.
I think social media has
Inaccurate.
only like
Huge.
exacerbated that too.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's just like it
They're
visually
in love with the idea of it.
on social media it looks amazing.
Which is why we've tried so hard to be as transparent as possible because I'm getting softer.
Yeah.
I'm 17 kilos up from stage weight, but it took me 17 months. 17 weeks.
Yeah.
So like that level of progression now is happening, but at the condition I'm in now, I've never been on this much food and at this weight. So like last time I was 110, I was very soft, tightened in, recomp, that sort of thing. I put up a comparison only recently. My 101 pre-prep versus 101 now, drastically different people.
Yeah.
So next time that happens, it'll be even more drastic.
That's how you do it to push the body weight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And-
Graded exposure.
And that sort of like that part of it isn't often talked about enough.
No.
Where we're seeing, you know, genuine progression limits. We're seeing you push for periods of time. We're seeing you get uncomfortable. Because like to me, the cut is easy. You just restrict food. You have like maybe a fasting window where you're like, I'm just going to eat between these points, make sure carbs are around training. I've got my stimulants in so I can focus and think and just move.
Yeah.
And if you're stuck into business, half the time you forget to eat. So you're like, cool, I've got to backload all this, like this food for training. Sweet. That's good. I'm going to feel fuller. So that to me is a piece of
How
piss.
dare you make that sound so simple, Ben?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Contest prep is complicated because
so
people have to
hard.
sell programs to people and
Yeah.
coach them with voodoo.
12 weeks and throw some ice baths and stuff in
How
there as well.
dare
and-
you?
Yeah.
Fuck. That's the ice bath challenge. We saw someone post before ice bath challenge.
Yeah.
Again,
Stay in there as long as you can.
So, yeah.
this is like the ice bucket challenge. on
Like,
steroids?
No, like
no. So this
submerged.
is submerge yourself in -5, I think it's 5 degrees or below
Yeah.
for as long as you can.
Isn't that?
But it's
That's dangerous.
Incredibly dangerous.
That's like hypothermia. Like
even if you
go into shock state.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
here's
You
a
could
thing
get
that
fried,
like
like
maybe would be applicable
the
and
onset of
sometimes
frostbite.
Is
beneficial.
it like 4 minutes or something? Like
I
that?
think it
Is, like,
depends
the
on the.
maximum?
I think it depends on the temperature.
If some is good, more is better.
Yeah. Same with drugs.
Fucking
Yeah,
hell.
sign this waiver so you can cut your own toes off.
Yeah, and die.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the STCfit podcast, where we talk about all things nutrition, training, and how to live your best life. If you want some more information about coaching, our free resources, and other fitness-related content, be sure to check us out on our website at www.stcfit.com. All right, let's get to the episode. But yeah, I like the analogy, even going back to what we were talking about before. It's like prep should be a shift of gears.
Yes.
Like as in, like, you know, 4th to 5th
100%.
kind of. It shouldn't be a 1st to 6th kind of thing. Like,
Not compounds.
well,
So we're going from test-based to trend?
Look, depending on what federation. But yeah, it shouldn't be. Like we've talked about this in the past. They're like, you know, people are like, oh, I'm in prep, and they want like the whole fucking thing to change.
Yeah.
It's like literally the only things that should change are your calories.
Yep.
Maybe your protein.
Yep.
And your activity.
Yep.
Really,
100%.
like from today till tomorrow. Let's say we enter prep officially.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
You have everything else on lock.
Yep.
You've got your nutrition habits on lock, your protein spacing, your eating frequency, your lifestyle, your rest, your training days, all of that shit. Like, you shouldn't have to like go through a period to plan all that.
No, I agree.
Like, as in, like last week to do it this week. It's like that should be manifested over a period of time.
100%.
And I think there's people that can gain that faster.
Yep.
And I think that, you know, setting people up for certain things is a needs-based, you know, kind of situation where it's like, cool, have you ever been in the deficit before? No. All right, let's see what that feels like. There's people, athletic background, probably have a little bit of muscle mass. Cool. Fucking whatever. But it's like, don't expect to change everything overnight. And I want to compete in the show in like 20 weeks. And it's like, just go and speak to a coach at like 21 weeks out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's where that stupid definition of bodybuilding of like, you're not a bodybuilder if you don't compete. It's like, why?
Yeah.
No,
the behaviors are exactly the
best
fucking
because
same.
everyone can do it.
Exactly.
It's the people's hobby, sport, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
And those behaviors are the same. Should be the same, whether you're on stage or not, because then to get on stage, it's the like.
You need to
I think
the be do have model. Like,
the thing that concerns me psychologically most of the time is when I see people use an actual comp, not
as a vehicle for the goal.
As a vehicle for the experience. I'm sick of, and don't get me wrong, because I have this conversation, people go back and forth with me on it. Like, there are, even amongst the population of competitors, I argue every time that there is different degrees of population amongst that umbrella of population.
Of course.
So you would call them subsets of the data, right?
Yeah.
So we've got in amongst that single data pool of a competitor, you would have like first timers testing the waters, like I just want to see if I can get lean, or you know, my coach put me through a 30-day challenge. Or just if I enjoy the process. Okay, cool. So that's you there. Then you've got like, you know, this is like maybe my first or second time into a cut. I've done an off season, or I've done a bit of a growth block, feeling a bit better about myself. Like, cool, let's go again. That's you there. Then you start getting towards the season guys who are like, I fucking love this shit. Like, and then even from that, you go, okay, I love this shit plus drugs.
And it's like, I love this shit, and I possibly want to make something of it. And I have a time frame to try and make this happen.
And the raw talent.
And the actual, like, the base level of necessity to get somewhere. Even if it's just going from, like, you know, I know your first show to getting to a point where you're winning some state titles, stuff like that. Like, for me to even tie back to my prep season B and why I think the reward was so good is that I said on the video, like, so we started doing some content recording. So we've got a guy now that we work with for, like, consistent monthly content to put out. In the video we talked about it, I was like, I can look back 2 years, and I remember I sat down at the library at the university when I first started uni, and I wrote down my next preps goals, and I could literally, because there was 2 COVID breaks in there, big C word, there was every single metric that I had written, I could go back and review 2.5 years ago. It was on my computer, and I ticked every single one of them off except win. And I can literally see those. I'll be at this percentage. I'll be sub this millimeters. I'll be at this sort of weight category. I'll be at this level of like supplementation. You know, things you can't control there are like, okay, calories, like how low do your food have to go to actually get the response, all that sort of shit. Can't really control that. But, you know, my sleep will be intact. My averages will be like this. My rate of loss will be something like this. I literally ticked all those off to the point where I was like, the only thing left to do is win, and that's outside my control. But that was also me ticking those things off over that 2.5 years. So like to me, it was like that just became like engaging in prep. It was like, all right, cool. So now I just go from the training every day that I was doing, the waking up at this time that I was doing, the client work that I was doing, the business stuff, training footage, whatever I was doing, that just now goes more specific and more enhanced, I guess, or more intense, but it's not different. It's not a drastic shift. Like you said, it's not a change of everything. Whereas a lot of the time I'm seeing people use it to go, so we'll look at those subsets again, and we go like the first timer. They'll go, I've never trained before, or like, you know, that looks really cool. I've seen this girl or that influencer or this person share the back end, like they're on stage with the makeup on, they've got the wings and the cool bikini and all that sort of stuff. Sick. I want that. Okay, I'm going to do that in 20 weeks. I've never done any of this before. This will be my first experience. The problem I find there is that then it's not mapped out amongst the clients and amongst like as a coach that you can't go there expecting to win.
No, of course.
If you're happy with it just being your experience, cool. Would I say that should be your first experience? No. Are you happy with just showing up? Okay, good for you. But the problem is we get this like people don't like being told the truth, right? Like people just in this day and age, if I were to walk up to say like as a female consult or something, or even a male consult, like you are too fat. We need to go through some aggressive phases. I need to find out how you respond. Are you naturally this high in body fat? Is your estrogen too high? What's your testosterone levels like naturally? do you have reasons why you look like this, or have you just not been tracking food or training much or moving, whatever? You're too fat to compete. Now, if we say that and someone gets butthurt, that's like we're the worst people in the world.
Yeah, the sport's not for you, but
exactly, we're telling the truth.
And that what you just said, all those the beginner people, they're the ones that come out the other side of it and like bodybuilding shit.
Damage,
exactly
right.
My brain. No one should ever do it. It's like no. You just
you pick something. You pick something you should never.
Exactly right. And that to me is where
drive the go-kart before you get in the F1 car.
Exactly right. Like it's this weird idea. Like I've played I would say a decent level of rugby league, right? Like I played a pretty decent level of rugby league. I would not, even at that level, like I played schoolboys at Suncorp Stadium, I would not then go say I should just start playing NRL. That stepping stone in other sports is so different. You go through the stages of progression where you're like, my skill set matches this environment, I can do it.
And because the competition pool's so small, there aren't tiers.
Exactly right.
Yeah, but the barrier to entry that's a
so
controlled
low.
barrier to entry.
Yes.
With bodybuilding,
it's
not.
just
a limited.
So then it's on the onus of the coach.
Yes.
For the people like you and I who are willing to
actually
tell people.
Be ethical,
Like,
we run the risk though of
Yeah.
losing the client,
of course,
because there is a coach who will go, "Oh, give me all these drugs."
That's happened in the past already. It's just like this isn't gonna. There's another show like in 6 to 12 months. Like we can do that. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And it's like,
but you have to be willing to lose them in order to keep
ethicalness,
ethicalness, right? Like,
and I've been coaching for a long time, and so have you, and you will continue to coach for a long time. It's like I don't want to work with people and have that stress either.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
that emotional sort of attachment that you have to a metric inside your sport is really like you have to. And I've talked about Jace a lot in the past. Like, there's not a lot of people I know inside our circle that bodybuilding, even when you were taking it more seriously, it was like, this is your sport. Like, there's no like wake up in the morning and be sad because I'm fluffy. Like, and that's why I put my hands up. That's why I moved away from body composition. It was like every day I got up, I'm not big enough, I'm not lean enough, I'm not big enough, I'm not lean enough. And then I touched the barbell and I was like, this goes up every single week, whether I'm sad or not. I'm going to go do powerlifting.
In fact, when I'm sadder, it goes up better.
It's like, I'm going to go pursue that. But most people don't have that. And a metric of bodybuilding is your fat, your muscle. So it's like, if I was to say to you, like, hey, you can't play in the midfield. I'm talking AFL terms. Sorry, wrong state. But like, you can't play in the midfield because you're not fit enough. No one goes, oh, you don't. That's not fair. It's like, no. You're not fucking fit enough.
It's a sport for everybody.
It's like, you're running off the bench. I'm sorry.
100%.
Whereas, in bodybuilding, it's like, because we take this as emotional. It's like, no. That's a metric of the sport and you don't have it.
And this, I think, is where the issue is with the honesty side that I try to give my clients even now is you get the fluff, right? Like, you get, like, fluffed up, blown smoke. Like, let's say, because, like, I remember me and Dolt sat down and worked out one day because I was actually having a bad time with, like, do I have what it takes? Am I going to be in this for long term? Like, what's the percentage sort of thing? If you're a genuine competitive bodybuilder, right, you are, I think it works out to be, if we break down the metrics, it's like 1% of the population globally is into 5 to 6 plus days a week, hypertrophy training to a progressive metric, tracking data and tangibles, right? Then from there, then there's the next 1% of that actually want to compete on stage. Then of that, there's like 1% who actually go on to do more than 2 or 3 seasons is the average dropout. Then from there, it's like, okay, so who's winning? So like all these metrics, to even get into a place, you're now suddenly in the 0.001% of a population.
And then to be a pro is like
exactly
wild.
So like to be a bodybuilder at your local gym,
Fed dependent.
Is
sorry.
Stab.
To be a local gym bodybuilder is quite rare. Though when we all link up at a comp or something like that, everyone's a bodybuilder. But in isolation at different gyms, it's quite unique to have genuine bodybuilders that compete, whether it be bikini girls or physique athletes or fitness or men's whatever. To be like at a gym, it's generally pretty unique. You might have 5-10 tops versus the 2,000 members. And from there, you start to get to a point where you're like, okay, so you're being fluffed up, right? Like you're being fluffed by your mum or your dad, your grandma. Like, oh, you're the leanest person I've ever seen. You look great. Why aren't you on stage yet? And so you get this in your head. You're like, oh, everyone on the appearance side of things is telling me I'm great because no one's actually stopped and sat down and gone, hey, this is a critically reflective, objective, subjective sport. You're going to be exposed to genuine feedback about how you look versus the person next to you. all we get is, you look amazing. You're so good. Like, you go,
It's
girl.
getting gassed
This
up.
is fucking
You get
awesome.
hyped up,
You look
yeah.
so good. Your glutes are coming in because you're wearing scrunch bums that pull up right up, and it's actually overemphasizing what you actually have. And then we get on stage, and then you lose.
Yeah.
Because no one sat down and gone, hey, we have 3 types of goals when it comes to goal setting. You have process goals, you have performance goals, you have outcome goals. You've dictated your entire existence of this prep on the outcome goal.
Yeah.
You can't control the outcome goal, though.
Yeah.
So why have
That's
you not been
terrifying.
preempted with, let's get the
process,
processes and let's get the performances? And that performances mean daily in the gym, right? If you are ticking those things off, the outcomes are relevant.
Yeah.
You have no
Well, it
control.
takes care of itself.
Exactly right.
And that's when I say like it becomes a sport. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like
It is everything.
in
within
field
that.
sport, you go to training twice a week,
Yep.
3 times a week, whatever, and then you play your game, and then like that's
It's how you recover. It's what you
You
eat.
c-
It's what you do.
you don't
Yeah.
decide. You have an agreement within your team, even in team sport, right? You have an agreement inside your team as how you're supposed to play, what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to set up structures, strategies, all those things. If you go out and execute that and lose, it's like you can't control how good the other team
Yes.
is.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's the same thing. Bodybuilding, powerlifting's the same. I use this story all the time because it makes me feel better about myself. But 2 weeks out from my last powerlifting meet, arguably Australia's best powerlifter right now decided to enter my competition. Guess who got knocked off the podium? This guy. It's like fucking showed up and
Perfect
totaled like
example.
920. It's like, okay, cool. And I've like trained side by side with him. You don't have the choice of that outcome, which I think traps so many people. And then to add to everything you just said, like I remember, because I'm a fucking dinosaur, training in the gym, health clubs, like you had 1, 2 handful of bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And so
it wasn't
even
a
then you were like,
mainstream sport.
everything you just explained is like this. When I'm in the environment, there's lots of people. Now you've got Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone competes.
Yeah.
Everyone can compete.
Everyone has stacked glutes and tiny little waists and crazy.
If you take the angle right.
Yeah, exactly. In the right lighting, in the right tights, the right time
Yeah.
of day with a pump. Like, I can do that.
I think that's also the detriment too, right? Though, because there's like they put themselves on like they go from these average gym goers, and then they're like, I'm gonna do a prep or I'm gonna do a comp, and then they're constantly posting that journey all the time. So when they don't win, they need to find
It's
a
embarrassing.
reason. Yeah, they feel embarrassed because they've overhyped themselves to their followers. They've gotten all this clout and everything like that. So instead of keeping that process internally for something that they actually want to do for themselves, the minute they don't get that win, it's like this emotional
You can't
embarrassment.
bodybuild to win.
They've then just got to justify to be like, oh well, like there wasn't fair rankings, or like the feedback was shit, or like bodybuilding's damaged my life, and now I've got an eating disorder. Like there's all these things that come from it as excuses.
If you have a low self-value or self-worth on top of that,
You can't do it.
it's like now I have
Crippled.
this value assigned to this thing, and I didn't fucking make prep. Not alone didn't win. Didn't make it because it got too hard. Like.
How do you justify that then?
I've now got to come up with a story about why it didn't happen, or I was
Yeah.
sick here and this, therefore this, and I fell through here, and like the thing that gets me, that I get so excited about, is when I genuinely see someone passionate about succeeding, but in life alongside it. So similar to you guys, you have a very similar process where I like to see other metrics of their life improve alongside our training. If I genuinely see that you're progressing in like study, business, education, your relationships, your friendship circles, your finances, and training's going up with it, then I know we're all doing the right job, because it means that you're not sacrificing those things just to have this. Because a nice placing physique means shit when it's not monetized and you're just...
Yeah, it doesn't really kind of get a lot of reward outside
Exactly.
of intrinsic.
Exactly. So you have to be making sure that everything encompasses progression forward. And so that for us is a big part of. So when I see someone come on, they're like, yep, I want to do this, this, and this, and prep is going to like facilitate that, or prep's going to allow that to happen, or my life will allow prep to take place, and we can tweak things and work on things mentally and stuff like that along the way, because every prep client is going to have mental breakdowns or like little hiccups. Like I have them, and that to me is like, I literally study this shit, and I'm like, there's points in time where I'm like looking at Bumstead being like, fuck. But then also I'm also pulling myself in and going like,
everybody.
and I'm just like, at that point though, I'm able to pull myself in and go, okay, but am I at Bumstead's level? Did Bumstead have my back injury? Did Bumstead have this? So how am I progressing against myself, or how am I progressing against someone else in my pool? All those sort of things then I can kind of control, and clients will have that. But that for me is like when I get someone that excited about it and they're genuinely passionate about progression over a period of time, I'm like, you're ready. Like you can actually handle this. You're like, win or lose, we'll go in with this knowing like, okay, so, you know, how do we progress next time? What's going to be the feedback? What are the markers here? Are we going in to win this one, or are we going in to see what is required to win next time? Because you're almost like you're moving those chess pieces like individually, as each prep comes along, okay, so we've moved on this, we worked on this, we tweaked this, we made this strategy, we tried this. The judges liked the feedback. Everything was good. The only thing was you need more size. Okay, size comes with time.
Effort.
You've got you have to remember that, on a stage, you could have guys who've been doing this for 15 years waiting for their time.
Yeah. You can't control who stands next to you, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
So from that, if you're basing your entire worth of value, which a lot of the newbies are, on the outcome, instead of just recognizing that the process and performance orientation, you're setting yourself up to be fucked post-show. Then you're going to blame bodybuilding, then it's this neuroticism and this problem and this tracking caused this, and I now have these eating disorders. Strangely enough, what we see is that you still track your budget. You're also still tracking these things. You don't have neuroticisms elsewhere, just here. Is it potentially because of bodybuilding or you and the expectations you went in with and that you didn't have the ownership and accountability to say, actually, I went in with the wrong perspective? Because a lot of the time, when I have those clients in that position that are like they're doing it for the right reasons, they're fucking thriving. Like they are genuinely happy with life progressions. They've got big plans. They've got big goals. They've got 3-5 year plans. Like we've sat down and gone, okay, this is what we want to see you do over 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Like, let's see how that looks and feels and blah, blah, blah. They take bodybuilding on the perspective that it's life improving. Because it's literally the embodiment of everything you need to succeed. Delayed gratification, long-term perspective, self-worth and self-value internally, because you know it can't come from extrinsic factors. You have internalized motivation where the ones that do well are generally intrinsically enhanced or generally they're doing it for the intrinsic reasons. External is nice, but it's not the driving factor. They've got a life that sustains the goal they have, which is, sleep optimization, lifestyle factors. They've got their friendship circles, no boundaries, and they have respect and that sort of things established. So when they get up there, it's life building. The ones that I see walking away saying bodybuilding is shit didn't have the life progress set up.
It becomes an outcome of all of their daily habits.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden, like you said, now we've switched gears and gone from first gear to fifth, and you're wondering why your whole life just fucked itself. Because you haven't got, your friends set up, you haven't got the boundaries in place, you haven't got the parents are aware of your food habits or your meal plan, you haven't got work aware of what's going on, all these things where your friends are still pushing you to come out and drink and get drunk, and you're like, that's because you didn't set this up over time to then handle prepping. The ones that I succeed, and the long-term athletes, even if they're gym bros or like the bro science guys or whatever, they're doing all those things already. Those things are all in place, and they're just now moving the piece forward. And that to me is like the big difference I'm seeing, and why I actually don't encourage prep straight away, or like as many people that are prepping, like you're seeing, especially coming through the natty federations, where it's just like, oh, I did a 30-day cut, prep. I've done this 6-week challenge, prep.
Do you think the term needs to change?
What's up, guys? So before we move on, just wanted to make sure you guys know about our free resources on the website. So go to www.stcfit.com/resources and take advantage of our free body transformation guide, our SBD guide, and our body transformation quiz.
Do you think prep is the wrong language?
I think people become really emotionally attached to prep.
Because it's like people think... I just train and then I do a bodybuilding prep. It's like, no, you be a bodybuilder.
I think this directly correlates to that.
So inside the community, prep makes sense. And it's the same with powerlifting. It's like you go into powerlifting prep where you tighten things up and you're starting to like, really all you're doing is like, prep means decrease volume, increase intensity in powerlifting. But it's like this mentality that I can go from a Les Mills class and do a powerlifting prep. It's like, nah. Same with bodybuilding. If we take that language away from the general, not that we can just wave a magic wand and do it, but if we were able to, taking that term prep out, which I understand it's a very focused period of time that we're trying to align to a time frame and a deadline and get the outcome, but if we call it as like the deficit, the deficit period or whatever, I'm going into the deficit out of off season or it's whatever it is, on season, off season, it almost works better.
But I think rather than just a pre-prep phase, like a
well, that's what you should do anyway.
Yeah. I just wonder if you take that out of the general populace's vision of what bodybuilding is, because I think most people think bodybuilding is prep.
I think when the hardest part here is like everything, there's going to be best practice. And that best practice is a range, because what you think is best practice and I probably lines up, just not perfectly.
Exactly.
And then put us in a situation where anyone can call themselves a contest prep coach. There's no formal you get this, you are whatever, and then anyone can join. So now you've got people who they think they have best practice.
Yep.
And then from a populace of experienced coaches, that is not best practice.
Yeah. The barrier to entry is completely different.
Encouraging people who to do things because they need to make money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because let's be frank. It's like not everyone's in it because we're passionate and we get to make money.
Yeah.
Some people need to make money.
Yeah.
So they're just like, fuck it. Let's sign up for 24 weeks.
Yeah.
Let's just secured 6 months of income.
Yep.
Especially if their primary outcome in life is to compete.
Yeah.
And there's so many of that. It's like, do you have a coach or do you sponsor an athlete?
Yeah. And then it's like you need that before and after to leverage your business. You're inexperienced and you need to make money.
Yeah.
You'll do anything to make sure that person succeeds.
Yeah.
Irrespective of what happens later.
The damage.
So then you get this before and after photo, and then all of a sudden we have this person.
Yeah,
where
the ethics and the desperation.
All the shit that you just spoke about never gets mentioned.
Yep.
And that's where the problem lies.
Yes.
Like, a lot of the problems lie.
100%.
So if you're a client and you're looking for a coach, it's like there's a couple of things, not a couple, there's probably a fair few lists of things that you would want to see. So I know you're competing.
Yes.
Or you're in prep.
Yep.
So this is your first time.
Yes.
So if you were to like maybe itemize, I guess like a little bit of a checklist of like the major things that you think a person who's looking for a contest prep coach, what do you think they would be?
Brown hair is about 5'10".
Not bad.
So just characteristically, it's like, if someone's listening and they do like the idea of prep and they go through the necessary steps to make sure it is for them and they're in it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
What do you think they should look for in a coach?
I think, without saying like ethics as a broad term, I think like someone who's willing to ask the questions in enough detail where you feel like they've actually listened to you and they're not just going to like take you through that process because you're the next number of their client list. Like I know there's a lot of coaches who are like, yep, I've got like 20 chicks going into season B or whatever it is. And you're like, okay, cool. Like some part of me will feel like I'm just going to be a template, a template and a number. And I'm not going to be checked in on. I'll be like, okay, like my mental health feels shit this week, or like I'm having body image problems. Like there's a process like we've gone through. Like my process so far has been like 18 months, nearly 2 years prior to like saying like, I'm going to do season B, because it was like it's not linear. So it was like, okay, well, we'll take you through a cut phase. Let's see how you go when you're hungry. Like, and I was teary and I was moody and I was like, I was shit. Like, no offense.
So you think this is tough?
Yeah, like, I know. And then
we
Ben's
got a
like,
whole nother level to go.
I was like, I'm really sorry. And then he was like, we got 27 weeks of this. Like, just you'll be fine. But like someone who asked me the details of like, okay, like, have you been hungry for? Like, how are you actually training to intensity? Because if you're not training to intensity, like, there's no point. Like, we need to keep moving that up. Like, this is a focal point. Like how do you feel around food? Like when you are in a surplus, how do you feel when you are fluffier? Because like if that's an issue for you, then we need to flag that. We need to work on it now and get that out of the way, because you're going to get fluffy, because that's how you grow, and you're going to get down and you're going to feel hungry. You're going to feel shit. And there's going to be days where you're like I do it still. Like I'll be like, I don't look like the chick who's on Olympia who's on more gear than Ben is. Doing wellness, because I'm like, I really wanted to do wellness, and it was like, okay, well, like, and then I would be like, this chick looks amazing, and then Ben's like, we'll do like a little thumbs up, because he knows that I'm like, she looks amazing because I'm looking at her and I want to be her, but it's like, I'm also not going to take that much gear to be able to do that. So you need to be able to have a coach, I think, who can be subjective with you and honest, and I think like if that's the goal, cool, like we can work towards that, but right now, like, you just need to grow and we need to get you to this point, and like until we get like these processes down, don't even look at that part. Like get this consistency, get your mood in your head right, get your sleep right, get your recovery right, like tick all these boxes together first, and then that primes you for that phase. Because it's like, I think we've gone through 2, maybe 3 recomps kind of thing, like since I started. So I've been fluffy, I've been down, and I've been fluffy, and I've been down, and it's like, cool. Like you lose that attachment to the scale over time too, because you're like, all right, look, this is just a phase. Or like having someone who, like, especially as a female coach too, like be like, okay, like where are you at in your cycle? Like that's the biggest one, I think. And like we've even noticed that across like all of our female clients, was like the coaches aren't asking around like cycle, like or they're not really like preempting. There's this weird association with like weighing yourself daily and that being bad, whereas like that data correlation actually helps me feel more stable and secure, because I'm like, okay, well, I know at like between days like 18 to 28, I'm going to feel like I'm 2 kilos heavier, and I'm probably going to be 2 kilos heavier, but that's also fluid retention and everything like that. So like if I was only weighing myself like once a week, I don't have enough data to be like, fuck, I'm failing. Like this is shit.
I'd say that daily weigh-in works 9 out of 10 times for people who don't like weighing themselves.
Yeah. It completely changes the structure of it because you're like, okay, well now I know that there's just going to be fluctuations. Like it's not a matter of me failing.
You have historical data too, so you
with
can
a graph.
It's like let's go day 18 to whatever, and go back to the last time we were day 18 to whatever, and let's see what happened there.
Yeah,
well, she had a cycle recently where she was 2 kilos up.
Yeah.
And it was a bit heavier than usual, but at the same time, I was like, it was supposed to be. So it went through an aggressive phase of her prep. The start of her prep went through an aggressive front end.
Yeah.
Like, let's get a large chunk of this out of the way.
Yeah.
Pulled down things about like 4 or 5 kilos. Like, great, that's a great starting point. Now we don't have to be as aggressive over the period of time. We can have more food. We can be less intense. So
less
hormones
stressed,
be more balanced, less stress, all that jazz. More fuel for training, shit like that. The change then, like it landed on menstrual week where it was like, okay, so weight's gone up.
Yeah.
So about 2 kilos heavier. And I'm not going to actively respond to that
Yeah.
and drop food. Oh, you've gained weight.
Yeah.
I also put her calories back up after the aggressive cut. So I'm like, okay, so we're increasing glycogen, increasing water, and you're going through your period.
Yeah.
There is no logical sense here as a coach to go, well, fuck you, I'm taking your food away.
Yeah, like strip that back, especially when you've just come out of it.
What have you done?
Yeah, exactly. Like, have you been sneaking food? Like, what's going on?
You just know now by having that data point, because we've had in the checklist of the question, menstrual cycle, tick yes, no.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, this week. Yep. Okay, we saw a weight increase and we saw carbs go back up.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fine.
And that's such a mental thing, I think, for females too. Like having that support system to be like, okay, like, and having that like objectivity, then understanding and be like, okay, well, like you're actually at like week 4, so that's pretty like it's expected that you're probably going to be a bit heavier this week, or like my cycle was like late by like 4 days this month, and I was like, okay, well, like I've also been like super stressed. I've been eating less. I've been exercising more. Like all of these variables that it's like, okay, well, that like it relaxes you because you're like, I'm not doing good at this, or like, like it's normal. Like, and I think there's that big missing part for a lot of like, especially from a female, and like doing it the first time, you're like,
you want to
shit. Like I'm emotional and I'm like hungry and I'm tired and I'm stressed and I'm putting on weight and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't do this, or like blah blah blah. Like
I find people who are newer as well, like just not curbing their excitement, but like they want to know what's next.
Yeah.
Right. So you, regardless of like the last 2 years, I know next week, next month, you have curiosities.
Yeah.
And you sometimes might fall into the like, hey Ben, what's next?
Yeah.
You know, what's going to happen in 4 weeks' time? What can I expect to experience? And I find that's the hardest thing to manage.
Yes.
Because for us, it's like, yeah, sure, we've got a rate of loss and we've projected this time period and you know, you've got to execute and you have been, but it's like, we still don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't tell you. It's like, we're taking care of all these things.
Yeah.
And I can say that, you know, we're on track.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you what tomorrow or next week.
I can't give you your future.
Yeah. And I can't tell you what peak week's going to look like in 8 weeks' time. Because then you're a female in a category that doesn't really need one.
Exactly. And exactly right. Like I would hope that someone can't tell me that because they think it's just a templated thing. Like that someone as an individual is so like cookie cut that it's like,
okay, they can tell you the peak week. They can tell you.
You can tell me about your experience. That's fine.
Like, and they'll tell you what they're going to do for
I'm going to do.
Because they're just going to do the same shit they do with everyone.
Oh, so the other 50 girls, 2 of them won, the other 48 didn't.
So we deplete carbs and we put 50 grams in on the first day.
Do
a front end gradual load. Oh, watch out, guy.
Exactly right. Like and I think there's definitely that.
And that, but that doesn't sound sexy. So like if you weren't in the space for long enough, or it was your first time competing, and then we say, I can't tell you what's going to happen till it happens. As long as we stick to the plan, though, things are okay. It's like, oh, that's shit.
Yeah,
like,
which is around like that hype thing, right? Where like people end up doing it for clout. Like I've trained for like 10 years, and it's not until like maybe the last 2 years where I've actually been doing like more intense work. I'm like, okay, well, like I know this shit takes time. Like it literally takes so much time. And so like for me, there's like if I was to just do it for like a journey of Instagram, or like journey to my 1,000 followers that I have, like I'm super famous, guys. But like if I was doing it purely for like extrinsic clout of like, there's no way I think that someone would be able to stick that out without a coach like hyping them up and be like, okay, cool, like in going to this week, this is what we're going to expect. Like, and then like I find that they end up relaying that to their followers. But like, this week I'm going through this. And then like when that mismatch happens is when they start blaming like bodybuilding for like changing the way that they are. They don't fit that, I guess, template so much, or like the results didn't happen for them, so then it's shit. Like,
and I feel like there's a difference between expect and know.
Yes.
We can expect.
Yes.
Like you and I can expect a lot of things of someone like Brooklyn and my guys and whoever. We can expect this to happen.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you, I know this is going to happen. You know,
and until you have that data history with the client either, you can't.
And the only way you know is by doing.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, so it's like you do. So this is where the process-orientated goals come back in and hold so true. It's like if you have those, it's like we know our best chance to expect this
is you doing these things.
You doing all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And that I think a big thing to kind of tie back to that and loop that is with my newbies, I will always add, and I know there's like a lot of good coaches that do this now, I will add to what the expected time frame of prep is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So like, you think it's going to be 12 weeks. Okay, we're doing 30. Because, you know, we need to know how do you respond to aggressive phases? How do you do this? How, you know, life hiccups.
Life's going to get in the way,
Life's going to get in the way.
What if
You've
you get
never
sick?
been this hungry. You've never been that sick and hungry. You've never been low on the energy availability like this. You know, you've not got to have the requirements of so much posing, so much cardio, so much steps, food preparation, training sessions, watching content on YouTube, like going to watch, you know, Bumsteads or whatever it is, like male or female. So to me, I'm like, we've started 30 weeks out.
Yeah.
But that's because, like, even though all the work we've already done, I can expect some things, but I'm like, okay, so the first 4 weeks realistically might call the pre-prep phase.
Yeah.
We're going to tighten up, get a bit more aggressive with it, then reintroduce food. Now from here, we get to then gradually titrate food down, keep hormones as high as possible, as regular as possible, make sure that things are ticking off. But then there's a chance that, you know, her job gets in the way, or there's some work events that come up, or we've got to do something, or, you know, she's got to be somewhere with her job that will require fuel. One of my guys, we're keeping him sub 10% body fat because he has uni exams by June.
Yeah.
So then May, June comes off the table for cutting.
Yeah.
But it's only his second or third show. So like, all right, we're still going to have you in a tight position so the aggression can still be there.
Yeah.
But it's a longer duration, right?
Yeah.
And so realistically, it's May, June is off the cards for cutting. But I can get into a hold phase where, okay, we'll have a bit more food so you can think and study and tick the boxes, because we don't want prep to ruin your fucking master's degree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also know from there, then I can pull the trigger and say, okay, your bullshit's
Now
done.
it's time.
By bullshit, it's masters. Your shit's taken care of.
Your stuff that's not bodybuilding.
Yeah,
is
the stuff that's not
bullshit.
bodybuilding, that's fine.
It's not relevant to this.
That's done. Now we pull the trigger. You've been in a tight spot. We got you here. We've given an extra extended time frame. We're not rushing to just put on body fat. We've got you to this sort of position here. So come June, we're off.
Yeah.
And now you've got like that 16, 20 weeks where it's more controllable, rate of loss is expected. We can be more aggressive, and food isn't as worrying because you don't have these exams coming up.
You've accounted for all those variables.
And that is why, even for like your newbies too, and he's an experienced competitor.
Yeah.
Even for your newbies, where it's like, even if you think someone is highly conscientious, highly task orientated, industrious, and really driven about the process, you're still going to equate for variables and problems they've never experienced.
Of course.
Because they just don't know.
Yeah.
So if you're getting into this point where you're like, oh, my coach is going to give me a 10-week, a 12-week, a 16-week prep, fuck off you are. And if you are, it's not going to end well.
Yeah, and I find that
You're going to go through hell.
it has problems on the other side.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you still might, let's just use an arbitrary number, to maybe 24, 30 weeks.
Yeah.
So you prep for 12. There's 18 weeks of fucked upness on the other side of that, most likely, for a lot of people. If you're inexperienced especially.
Yep.
So you're trading off as the coach, what's the experience I'm going to give this person? For you, it has to be the best experience possible.
Yeah.
Because it's laying the foundations for whether you want to do this in the future.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Ben is that's going to be his number one thing, to get you there and make sure it's fun. So I say to everyone the first time, you've got to enjoy this. If you don't enjoy it, I hated my first prep.
Yeah.
Fucking hated it. It's the worst thing ever. And I know that that's part of the reason why I'm not a regular competitor.
Yeah.
Love bodybuilding, but So sometimes people think like, oh, Ben's just trying to get 30 weeks out of me.
Yeah.
It's like, no. It's called best practice.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Best practice is 24 weeks,
Try
maybe
not to do
a
harm.
4-week, 6-week recovery phase, or whatever it takes for you to recover on the other side. But actually, fucking talk about it.
Yeah.
Plan it, periodize it, explain it, take this person on a journey. Don't just push someone who's not prepared for 12 weeks and then just like leave them in their most vulnerable position ever, which is the day after the show. No plan, no structure, all fucked up, mentally, physically, whatever. See you later.
See you later. I've got my money. See you later.
Yeah,
Which is where like people come with that mindset that coaches just want, that rinse and repeat. They're like, yep, cool. There's your cycle of clients for season A, your cycle of clients for season B.
Come back when you're fat and out of shape, and I'll try and fix you and make the problem worse.
Our retention number at the moment is 56 weeks out of a service that's been operating for 18 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the thing to me is, and like, don't get me wrong, like before that I was obviously coaching and studying, but like before I was directly in this period of matter, to me it was like everyone needs to be in for the long haul.
Yep.
So like I want you coming to me, like I don't want you to come to me for a 20-week prep or think that's going to be the standard. I don't want to be that coach. Like, don't get me wrong. If you're coming last minute, like, look, this happened. I'm in a position, but I want to pull together.
If you're put together and tick a lot of the boxes, there's extenuating circumstances where you and I would be like, we'll take you on board.
Exactly right. But for the most part, like, I've got one of my girls. She's like a 7-year veteran of competing across like natty feds into enhanced feds, and still she's like, I will go. I'll pull the trigger when you say I'm ready. Yeah. And she's like, I don't care if it's like, if you think season B's are good to go. But then she's like, she literally, I think she was living in Brisbane, having to drive up the sunny coast every day for work and then drive back home and then train. So I cut her training to 4 days a week and just focused on her food. Yeah. I was like, all right, so let's just get you growing on 4 days a week of hard training.
Yeah, which is great, really, in an off season.
Exactly.
Like 4 days.
I've been doing 4 days since I finished prep.
I reckon that's the magic frequency for most people. Train hard.
Yeah.
Caveat.
Train hard for 4 days.
Yeah.
And she's got fucking crazy results. And she's like, all right, so like given this life block, probably not ideal to prep for season B. She's got a new job, so like the company she's with now doesn't know anything about bodybuilding or her. Yeah. First impression we want to give you is, I'm prepping, so don't talk to me for 20 weeks.
Yeah, or like I need to eat every 3 hours or whatever.
Yeah. Don't put me in meetings when I'm tired and grumpy and frumpy
everybody
and upset.
work within my capabilities.
So to me, I was like, all right, we're going to grow you and get these physique progressions, which they've been coming and going great, but also we're going to get life set up in a good position so that prep is breezy.
Yeah.
Less stress, less variables, less problems, less hiccups at work. They know who you are and what you do, and it's like it's just simply again upgrading that gear, shifting that gear up. Where I'm like, okay, 4th to 5th, off we go. The company knows, everyone knows. I don't drink, I don't go out, I don't do all these things, so they expected it. Yep. I can be good. And that 20-week prep is a good 20-week prep. Yeah. And we can reverse out for the 4 to 6 to 8 weeks, whatever long it takes. And the work life won't be affected or social life won't be affected. It's not an issue. And then you're like, okay, that to me is where I was like, this is the representation of what I want matter clients to be like. Yeah. Yeah. Where they're willing to accept, like, I'm with you 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, I don't care. But I also know that each time we get on stage is a level of progression. I don't want you to finish a show and see you later. Like, I don't care if I don't have like a, you see this coach where it's like, I've had 10,000 clients and got these 8-week transformations. I don't care if my list never goes above 100. If it means that list is 200 weeks long.
Yeah, constantly evolving.
Exactly.
Like the people are.
I'm building from the base, like the degree of high performance that I want to coach that is being emulated through and shown through female clients and male clients that are doing their first times and things like that. I want to take you from where you started as not so much a nobody, but like you weren't that highly conscientious, neurotic type person who's just driven by the numbers straight away. But we're going to build you into someone who wants to get shit done. And we're going to build you into someone who ticks the boxes and just gradually gets better and better until eventually success just happens. That to me is like, that's what I want the matter client model to look like. Yeah. And it's like, it's starting to show already, which to me is like, that's fucking, that's what I truly believe. If you love bodybuilding and you're not just looking for that turn and burn model, you will have clients that you want to work with for a long period of time. We're like, let's work on your shoulder block. Let's work on this last prep. You need more arms. Okay. So we've got an arm focus, all that sort of shit. So,
What's up, guys? So before we move on, just a little bit more information for those people who are curious about coaching. Maybe they want someone to take care of their training, get a bit more specific, take it to the next level, or even just keep them accountable to all of the things that they need to do. So again, you guys can go onto the website, get a little bit more information. It's got all the information on there on what's involved to take your training to the next level. You can hit the inquiry button, and then we'll get on a strategy call and see what we can do for you.
Really curious, like you obviously mentioned earlier, watching specific shows and seeing the specific person and being like, I'm not willing to do the gear that person's willing to do. What percentage of people on the fringes that are coming in like, I want to do a comp prep, actually understand the level of drug use?
Not many, I think.
Zero.
Like, there's a lot of, I'd say there's a lot of young athletes who love gym, and then they see these pros and they're like, they're not understanding that pro has taken 15 years to get there. And they're like, well, I want to get there in 18 months.
And would look amazing if they weren't using
and they don't have like the like the actual history of their conditioning.
They're literally the genetic elite. And then they're also enhanced.
I walk this weird line of like, I hate when someone says like, oh, they're on gear. Or like, oh, I don't want to cheat.
The assumption,
I don't want to cheat or whatever like that. It's like, nah, you don't get it.
It doesn't negate the work.
Some of them turn pro natural.
But I also am on the other side of that. It's like you were sort of saying before, it's like you see that person, they do the comparison, you're like, motherfucker, they're on everything.
Yeah.
And you're not on everything. You don't even know that they are, which just shows how far away from actually being there you are.
You are, yeah.
So it's hard for me sometimes to walk that line, to be like, no, that steroids don't take away from the work, the outcome, all of the stuff.
They're just willing to do more.
Yeah, especially
like
if
they're willing to do more than the other person.
If they're a career lifter, it's like anyone can just run a course of something and experience, whatever they experience from it. But it's like because they haven't gone through the process of why and meaning and value and all of those things and made it process oriented and outcome oriented, they'll only do it for the short period of time. These people look big and strong and amazing for 15 years.
They are literally willing to sacrifice their health and longevity to do it.
Yeah,
they don't care. Like we're bringing in the models now to try and improve longevity of health and reduce risk and side effects and
mitigate
exactly. See how stacks actually work. We're trying to bring those models in, and I think a lot more of the advanced coaches are getting that way, which is great. Like that's
the safer use model is a good movement in the industry.
100%.
Yeah, it's just making sure that we don't go that far that we send the message that it's going to eradicate.
You can't have no risks.
It's like if you're bigger than you're supposed to be,
it's a risk.
Red flag already.
Yeah.
If you're using things in a super physiological way, there's better practice. I feel like we still don't know what best practice is, but there's better. But you're still having to accept those trade-offs and risks. And know that there's no model where it's like, I can just do this risk-free.
And I think also like the clarity of, I think the biggest thing too is like these athletes who have been doing it for 15 years, like these are the 1% things that they're doing. Like this isn't the everything that they're doing. Like gear is not everything that they've done to get to where they are. So it's like it's the 1% and 2% things that are like, okay, well this person that I'm going up against, I could do 1% better here, or I can do 1% better in my recovery. Like these are all the little tiny 1% of things.
Yeah, for yourself.
For yourself that you do, that you're like, all right, cool. I know that I can do this better.
That weekend in prep where I went out and fit in those drinks, but that guy was literally tooth and nail to the T on his program and his lifestyle.
Yeah.
Those things make the bigger differences. Your supplementation makes a big difference, but and that's what I mean when I say getting people to a point where that isn't even a question in prep because you've had that you're set up. I don't need to drink during prep. I don't need to go out and get on the piss. I don't need to do these things.
Or you understand what's of more value for that period of time.
Yes.
Because you guys have had a conversation and said, this is probably what's going to be expected of you. Can you commit to this for this time period? It's that the ticking of the box of being willing and able.
Yes.
I've got all these events coming up and these things. It's like,
exactly right.
Where on the hierarchy?
It's my 21st and I want to get lit. It's like, you have 6 weeks out, bro.
Yeah, exactly right. Can we fit in alcohol, this pizza, and this cake in here as well?
You knew you were turning 21 for 12 months. Like,
your whole life.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally, there's it's next year will be 22. Is it the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, we could talk about a lot of things, and I think again it comes down to it comes to another thing in the industry where it's like everyone's trying to have their cake and eat it too.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like I can get you to Prep Brooklyn, and you can eat whatever you want, and you can fit alcohol in, and you can do this and you can do that, and
you can have balance. Yeah.
We Jason's aggressively conversate and hang shit on a lot of people behind in the DMs.
I know. Yeah.
Just because at the end of the day, we always gravitate back to that traditional behavior that everyone decided to make fun of the bodybuilders for. The chicken, the broccoli, the steamed veg, the meals in the plastic containers, the
relentlessness,
the repetitive nature of it, the boring,
the monotony.
The monotony. It's like, oh, this is boring. We all made fun of it, and it's like, if you take this sport seriously, if you want to get the best result, and you want to do it over a long period of time,
it's introverted, it's isolated.
You will all gravitate back to that, to a model of that traditional thing that everybody made fun of them for. You'll follow a meal plan. Dare I fucking say it? You'll eat 20 foods on a piece of paper for every 20 weeks because it's easy, simple, it's effective. You can execute on it.
The less variables that you have, the better it is.
Psychologically, it's just a phenomenon that people engage in. I'm gonna have no more than 40 food varieties, and by the end of prep, it's kind of minute down to like 10.
Yeah.
It's just, you're going to do it. But that same premise though, this is the ironic thing that I get, that I see that matters with bodybuilding towards high performance and high success, is that monotony and that repetitiveness and that repetition, the boredom, if you will, or people that's like, oh, why don't you have fun? This is boring. Those people do the same, like that same sort of routine or mundane monotony of bodybuilding in business, life,
or things careers. That don't serve them.
Exactly. Education, stuff like, if I'm looking at Hermosi, like you look at that guy, he's like, I live and breathe doing these things. I'm up at this time. I start working at 4 a.m. I don't need to go out and get pissed all the time. I don't need to go out and see friends at a party because that's not me. I have fun doing this, but I repeat that same shit. Same time, you go to that bodybuilder who is successful and who does it for a long period of time. He'll be up at this time getting his cardio in because he knows he's got to fit this. He's got to get his meals cooked. He's got to do this. Training session has to get in. Posing's got to be done. And you start to see the same trends of success emulate in other fields.
Yeah.
And that is why I find bodybuilding so powerful when it's done properly.
I know you'll talk about this a lot on your own socials and stuff, this concept of like it's extreme.
Yep.
And coming back to that sport analogy, it's like you played league.
Yeah.
It's like running into really, really big humans at high speed is pretty fucking extreme.
It's
and
pretty
no one
extreme.
blinks an eyelid at it.
It's
It's like, let's put 100,000 people in a stadium and yell while they do it. This is awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, that's fucking mental.
Yeah.
No protection.
They don't have a
Just
helmet
shirt.
on either.
Yeah.
I think
like,
they worked out the equated total tonnage, the velocity connection was like the same speed as 2 Mack trucks hitting
Yeah.
when you have 2 front rowers land.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. And
Like,
then like,
terrifying.
hey,
Ridiculous.
guess what? There's this thing called CTE. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
long-term
It's an extreme
permanent
thing
damage.
to
And then
do,
like, it's like, okay, so cool. Well, league is what it is. Like, okay, so for the girls, netball, what's the injury rate of netball? Fucking 150%.
Ankle, like
Ankles,
every
knees,
time.
everything,
Yeah.
all the time. It's like, okay, you're still trading in extremes no matter what.
Yep.
It's just that what I do, not what I do, obviously, what a bodybuilder does kind of looks like the thing that Jenny does when she goes to the gym and lifts weights. And that's where it's like, oh, but that's too extreme. It's like, no. They're not doing the same thing. They're just in the same building as you.
Yeah. They're aware of the same consequences of where it translates across sport.
Yeah, and I think the problem is everyone that we've discussed today, those people that get into trouble are the ones that aren't aware of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that I think is like that
It's
will
glamorized.
Yeah.
it will save
the
a
outcomes.
lot of people, and if anything, it will hold you a lot of clients if you're willing to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Because you're willing to say, "This is what I will do with you. This is how I run the ship, and this is how things happen. This is what a prep kind of looks like psychologically. Like, especially being able to study this, I can see a lot of the time when people go through self-doubt phases, self-talk phases, they go through all these problems. You start to see the similarities in people where it's like, okay, so psychologically there's some pretty consistent trends we can see that can come up. So you know to expect this. It's not going to be you always feeling good. You're not going to have you're going to post the booty photos to try and get that positive reinforcement.
Yeah,
but realistically,
you're
feeling shit about yourself.
Yeah.
You know, the six-pack's coming out. You're starting to start showing it, but at the same time, like, you also know that your legs are fatter or your back is still holding fat, or like you're checking the other guys' Instagrams as well. Like, those things will happen.
Yeah.
That, however, like, if you're prepared for that, can be positive. You can use that to grow and be better and be like, okay, so I know that I have to still pull this in, or I've got to do X, Y, Z. You can use it in a positive way, but you've got to be able to sit down and have that conversation.
The identity attachment.
Exactly. Yeah. Identity to your appearance, if you're a bodybuilder, is completely redundant. It's not redundant. It's completely illogical. Like, you can't.
Will destroy you.
It will literally destroy you. Like, you can't go into bodybuilding being like, I'm a shredded bodybuilder, or like, I have to look a certain way, or I have to do this, or my followers know I look like this.
Yeah, unless you've gotten to a position where your income is solely reliant on it.
Yeah.
But you've gotten there.
Yeah.
It's like the rest of it's just
Yeah.
Identify yourself as a bodybuilder, or I'm someone who trains weekly, or I'm someone who is I love the lifestyle of bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And then from that,
live the lifestyle and love it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you haven't got that set up before you start,
even the ones that like do make a living off it, though, how many of them get spit out the other side when they lose it?
100%.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's like
Because it's like
They have built their entire
they're only there for that.
Yeah.
That's what they're there for in the industry. Is like that's how they monetize.
They want to be recognized. They want to be sponsored. And then when that stops,
I look at the guys who aren't like that. So like Dexter's really successful outside of bodybuilding. Jay's really successful. Fuad obviously with the podcast and the chains and all that. All of those people found an identity beyond just how they looked. They're still fucking jacked humans because they're in the, what did you say, 0.0001% of the world of physique.
Yeah.
So they still look like units, but if you ask them, they'll be like, fucking... Like, remember when Ben came out? And he was like, Ben Pokulski came out. Oh, my legs are so small. I put on 6 kilos in 2 weeks from training.
Yeah,
it's
just like I can't train because I just grow.
And this is, and then in the next
Sounds like a
sentence,
really
like,
hard problem
And
to
you
have.
said you had bad genetics.
I didn't have the genetics
for bodybuilding,
fuck, bro.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't have the genetics for bodybuilding, but I can't train.
But yeah, like he's an example who didn't allow his entire identity to go into his physique.
Yeah.
I don't follow enough of it to know if Bumstead's got other income revenue streams and
Yeah,
stuff.
he
Like,
does.
Heaps.
I assume
Man,
he's like
He's
killing
doing
on
his own
YouTube,
sub-line.
right?
He's got like an apparel line.
Yeah, so it's like his
YouTube channel would
YouTube, yeah.
It's
if he
killing
gains
it.
5% body fat, his life isn't over.
Yeah.
But then you've got amateurs
Yeah.
who are like, I've still got back fat. like that's the end of my week.
Yeah.
But I think that's also too like where that I guess that multi-layering of personality comes through. Like Bumstead initially when he came out, he had the personality, he had the charisma and everything that went behind it. So he was already more than just a bodybuilder. And he related to people. Whereas I think when people are that really one-dimensional, like my identity is bodybuilding, it's like, well, when you're done with it, you kind of are done. Like there's nothing more to you.
So I think people from the outside looking in would look at Matter and go, you guys are like the high performance, and you come out all the time and against, like, it's not a fucking neuroticism, it's not a whatever. Like,
Ben's
challenge
word
me.
of 2023 is
100%. It's a 2023 review, word of the year, neuroticism.
Yeah.
do you then actually speak to people about that? Like, do you actually cover who are you outside of this sport?
Huge.
And outside of your physique and outside of
100%.
this?
Yeah.
So, like, I'll have some basics that I'll use to kind of model or module like mindset discussion and things like that. Like, we generally, similar to you guys, we look for ownership, accountability. Growth mindset is always optimal for things like bodybuilding. We'll look at like the 1% mentality that we talk about, where like I'll differentiate. So even in the course I wrote, I put a mindset module in there where it's like, okay, if you just want to do these things, great. But then if we want to start going to that next level, we start looking at the Gareth Timmons, the David Goggins of 1% mentality, where they wrote literally how to become a 0.1% mindset. So we start to look at these things where, we can see what the elite guys are doing, what these people are doing. You can start to emulate, think about, encourage. But on top of that, one-to-one with a client in a lot of check-ins, or whether it be just general conversation, like having that community aspect that we have that we're building, and we'll go more into that later, but having the knowledge and, I guess, the empathy provided you want to progress that comes from me. I'm not going to pat you on the back if you want to do fuck all. But if you come to me with like, hey, I'm feeling this, but also I want to fucking kill it. Sweet. Here is every tool at my disposal to help you. And I've studied this stuff now for like 4 years, 5 years. Like, I will give you everything I can. And from there it becomes like each person, like, okay, so if I start to see trends, if I start to see patterns in, like, when I cut, I really love being lean. So everything I do, I share on social media as being lean. But then when I get soft, I go away in my shell and I hide. And I don't. Okay, so I'm noticing these things. What are we doing? What's your identity? Like, what are you telling your story as? What are you talking about? Who are you as a person? Even one of the girls that I am mentoring through protocols and stuff to a IFBB prep, she had a phase where she was telling me about that she was like literally ready to, like, 6 weeks out and ready to pull a pin. She's like, I'm just going to quit. I was like, okay, so we had a chat and I was like, how are you talking about yourself? And we got to like her internal narrative, her self-talk and a conversation. I was like, we need to go through a phrase of what we call cognitive reappraisal. So we need to change how we talk about the situation and talk about ourselves in that context. I was like, instead of discussing yourself as like, the failure, the learnt failure mentality is basically like, I quit because it got too hard and I dropped out. So now that's what I know. I've reinforced that that's what I do when things get hard, blah, blah, blah. Let's change that to the way you talk about yourself is interject that, interrupt and say, I am someone who finished what I start. Let's change that. And now all of a sudden in your head, when it comes up in conversation, and it comes up in communication, whether it be with your coach, whether it be with your husband, your friends, social media, I am someone that finishes what I start. It doesn't matter whether I come first place, doesn't matter what, whatever. I am someone that finishes what I start. Because it started off with, and we have what you could call like positive or negative phrasing, right? So the first way she kind of said it to me was like, oh, I just don't want to quit. I was like, no, that's wrong. Because even saying I just don't want to quit implies that you don't really want to do it. You just don't want to quit, which is fine, but we can make that better. And we can reword that to say, hey, I don't only just want to not quit. I'm someone who doesn't stop what they start. And I get shit done. And you start talking in that language and narrative differently about yourself, your fucking life changes. Because now that crosses over to your life, your relationships, your fucking businesses, your education, study, your career, your family, whatever you're doing, raising kids, whatever. That single shift of language, cognitive reappraisal, which is changing a single sentence of how you describe yourself, changes how you view your entire life. And that, to her, she was like, holy shit. And like, again, I don't go around saying I'm a mindset coach, but this is stuff that we study and we learn in amongst things like acceptance therapies, commitment therapies, going through things like motivational language and interviewing, going through psychology and different subjects. You start to learn these things where just a simple flip of the switch like that can interject things. And that to me was such a big aspect that I was like, just change that. Like change that language as an athlete. Holy fuck. And that to me is like, so I will have some general system strategies that I'll get clients to listen to or go read or watch links and stuff like that. But then from there, it's just like one-to-one, especially with individual mindsets in prep. You get such unique responses to things that you can't have a full systemized approach.
Yeah, of course.
You just have to have that, like, those tools at your disposal where you can say, all right, in this situation, give me your answers, give me what you think, how to go for you, how do you feel, like, what is happening? Okay, how can we change that? How can we view that differently? How can we talk about this differently? How can we change your sentence structure? How can we change how you communicate with friends and family? And then all of a sudden you just see changes. And it's like, all right, so now we've got that tool, let's add this to the next one. That's no different to like hypertrophy program and stuff. You just add into you're progressively improving the stress and you're progressively improving the exposure to it. And you just get better.
Yeah. All right. Well, I feel like this conversation could never end.
Yeah.
That was good. I really need to eat.
Yeah.
So I know you two do as well. So I think we might wrap it up there.
Maybe you guys should go lift some weights instead of talking about
that's it. We're going to go lift some weights and stuff like that. So where can we find you guys for those listening and who want to check out Matter?
So we've actually expanded a bit now. So we've got the Matter Athletica YouTube is up and running. We've got the Matter Mentality podcast. My personal Instagram, which is Ben_Mayfield-Smith. And then you've got Matter Athletica and Matter Marketing all now on Insta as well.
Unreal. All the links will be in the show notes.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Well,
all of those things.
That was an amazing chat.
Yeah, that's
Thank
fun.
you for your time, guys.
All right, guys.
And thanks for everyone listening. We'll see you next time.
Let's go.